Hey, how are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm still here, I suppose. I just got through watching the reveal for 3.28 Mirage, and then I started looking at the patch notes, and I thought, you know what? I should probably make a video because I had a few people ask me about the golem build that I did last league using the Pledge of Hands, and I got very bad news. I don't know why. Maybe they were worried that the staff was going to be broken for other builds because it's not really used heavily in what I was doing. Um, but he got nerfed pretty severely. The thing is, we don't know all of the new gems. So there is a possibility that it's salvageable. It also has to do with the new corruptions. You could technically get a pseudo 8 link in a Pledge of Hands with a good corruption on the Flame Golem of Hordes gem, but I don't know if that's going to really matter uh, for the time being. Again, I don't know what's going to happen with the new gems now that awakened gems are gone. So we'll have to play it by ear. With that being said, it's a good possibility I won't be making a build video or guide or anything like that beforehand because honestly, I don't want to lead you astray. It may be a complete dead build, at least the way I built it. There are other ways of building it. It's not as high damage, but there are other ways of building it and could prove to be really good depending on how it's done. So there's always other options. There's going to be a whole lot of changes overall to this game, uh, with a lot of different changes to things like cluster jewels and the new non-awakened special gems, all sorts of stuff. So we're gonna have to just play it by ear. With that being said, let's kind of go through and see if there's anything else that I wanted to kind of touch on. This is just about the new league. It looks pretty fun. It looks entertaining. I always like simple, easy to understand leagues because you just want to jump in, kill monsters, and collect loot. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Uh, there's new content and features. There's the new reliquarian ascendancy class for Scion. I think that's gonna be very strong. I also like the idea that it changes every season. So maybe this season it won't be that good, but next season they might slip in something like a I don't know, headhunter buff or whatever the case may be. You never know. That's a really interesting idea, and there's a possibility they could expand upon that for other classes. We'll have to just wait and see. Um, there's also the uh, additions of quite a few different skill gems and support gems, transfigured gems. Again, we got to play it by ear. Got to figure out if they do release any information about these things in the coming week, which they most likely will. We'll worry about it then. Uh, One thing that I did kind of fixate on while I was looking at it was the transfigured flamethrower trap of stability. Sounds kind of interesting. We don't know the damage on it. We don't know the effectiveness on it. We know nothing about it. Um, but one of my favorite characters in the game is the Saboteur, one of my favorite ascendancies. And yeah, I'd love to see a really good trap build come back. So this is something to take a look at. You're going to see a lot of builds. I guarantee builds with kinetic fusillade. That's going to be something that people will mess with early on. This is one of those skills: charge, dash, and projection. I doubt that's gonna be anything, but you never know. It could be one of those Mirage Archer kind of, deals that comes out of nowhere. We'll see what happens. But there's a lot of cool, interesting stuff. 13 new unique items. That's another thing to keep into the back of your head. If you're thinking about the Golem build, you never know. There might be a unique item coming out in this new league that could be a big boon for that build. So, again, we really can't do anything for the time being. Uh, Something else I was gonna look at. Oh, the other thing was this. This is I think I mentioned this before. This is the new corruption currency that'll corrupt a gem that's level 20 and imbue it with a level one. The way it looked, it was only level ones. Uh, uh, Relevant or valid, they say here, valid support gem, which means I believe what I'm expecting is that it'll take the gem, it'll look at the tags, and it'll only give you something corrupted onto it that revolves around one of those tags. And those tags are typically they're typically linked to a specific stat like int, dex, and strength. So if you wanted, say, multi-strike on something, if you have melee on that on the gem, there's probably a possibility of getting multi-strike on it. Just like with a green gem, you want something like if it's a projectile gem, you could get multiple projectiles, stuff like that. That's what I'm assuming is how this is going to work. That's something to also keep in mind for the possibility of the flame golem coming back. Uh, Typically, a lot of skill gems, especially spell gems, you want +1. Like, you want it to be a 2120 or a 2123, or the best would be 2123 and Vol, depending on the gem. Um, with that, these pseudo 6 links, 7 links, 8 links, whatever you wanna call them, could in fact be a bigger boon than just an extra skill level. So most likely, and this is just me randomly guessing here because I don't know all the inner workings and math behind everything here. I would assume that you're probably going to get a better bonus out of a +1 skill gem added to your main skill. So end game changes. There's a lot of stuff here, pretty typical. We just got PoE 2'd in our PoE 1. They got rid of maps for the most part. We're essentially getting tablets that you'd have in Path of Exile 2. It's a I think this is a great, really good change. This changes the way everybody plays Endgame. It's going to be huge for the fact that you no longer have to worry about a specific map not dropping for you. The way everything had been laid out, such as the new mechanic of adding a modifier that kind of gives you like a coverage over a section of the map or the atlas, and then it increases modifiers every time you complete a map in that. And the fact that they're also making it so you could specifically just do one map and have the bonuses, they're definitely thinking ahead on those types of things. Nobody wants to run, specific there's dungeon. Who wants to run? Nobody wants to run dungeon. So the ability to still be able to do all these mechanics and not have to do that, it's better than memories. Memories, if you I didn't see anything with memories. Let me see. So memory skills have been removed. Uh Skills. So I don't know if they got rid of memories. So we'll have to see. Um, but like there's so many maps you just don't want to do when it comes to that kind of stuff. So either way, there's not too much to really cover that people haven't already figured out or been looking into. There's a lot of changes to scarabs, how they work, different types of scarabs. There's a lot of currency that's been swapped around. Um, all these chisels. I don't know. They said they got rid of chisels, but then they reduce. I don't know. Always apply 20%. So they've changed some stuff around. There's obviously some currencies that we don't have anymore because like horizons aren't really necessary because there's just tiers of tokens that drop instead of full maps. So a lot of maps being added or removed. This is pretty typical. Full hollow, I don't mind. Um, I don't mind Wharf. Wharf is a really good one. I don't mind. I don't really mind Courthouse. Graveyard isn't terrible. The boss can kind of suck early on. I like Haunted Mansion mainly because Haunted Mansion, at least it used to be headhunter card. So I don't know if it still is. Um, Dry Sea is a good map. and dig is okay. We did lose some good ones though. Let's see here. A lot of good changes. Got rid of a bunch of really crappy roles. That's always good to see. Some of these were just ridiculous. The the ones that they pointed out are like this one here or reduce action speed. That's great to see. It wasn't really stopping you from doing the map. It just made it slow for no reason. A lot of Atlas passive trees changes. There's really nothing to go over here. There's one that I am looking forward to. Let me see where if it's here. What was it? Syndicate? Breaking his chance not lose ranks when they're interrogated. Uh, This one here. Maps have a 5% chance to drop with a fractured veiled modifier and no longer has 25% increased rarity of items. This, I think, is going to be, I don't think it's going to be underrated. I think a lot of people noted this one when they saw it. I think this is going to be a big deal. One of the things that people really like to do is they like to get certain uh, veiled modifiers fractured on various things like chess. They want the tier one um, percentage of a stat or all stats. They would like that to be fractured, and now you have the opportunity to get that. I don't know how item level is going to work. They technically removed tier 17s, so I don't know what's going to happen with how hard it's gonna be to obtain higher item level. They even made it so that, it's later on in the notes. They also made it so that you can't get high tier, cluster jewels from your mappers. I don't know if they're even allowing you to get higher item levels from your mappers. The same thing goes for the tree, the Genesis tree, which that's a very divisive thing. I wish it wasn't added, but we'll see what they did with it. We'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, this is one to take note of. I think it's gonna be a very valuable node. Matter of fact, I might even go straight into Syndicate, um, right off the bat, just to get it, and we'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens. Um, Keepers of the Flame is a core league. This is kind of a nostalgia hit for me. This is a big punch in the mouth because I started playing this game in Breach, which was a 3 point, man, I can't even remember, 3.6, 3.7. It was a very early league many years ago, 2016. I think it was the last league of the year. And I got into it and I haven't missed the league since. I've played everything. I love this game. I love the possibility of 2 even being good. I'm not really fully on board there, but we're gonna have to see. We'll wait and see. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of sad that they replace Breach, which is a very simple mechanic, with this messier version. I'm not a fan of it. However, the idea that you can split it up and you don't have to do the stupid walls and the hives and stuff, I'm okay with that. If you want to put your time and effort into this, fine. There's also there was a notable on the tree that may actually end up becoming a huge deal when it comes to farming and loot drops, and that is doing the hive and getting a bonus that highly increases, at least that's what they said, the drops from all the waves that you do, which is I think like 20 waves, 15. No, it's like 24. It's like 24 waves. Way too many. That should be changed. Have that. Anyway, that might end up being a big deal. Um, and then there's just some regular changes. This was a surprise to me. Harbinger removed as a core league. There's two things here that's a big, big up. And then just the overall Harbinger is a classic league being removed. I really hope that means they're gonna do something big with them. In fact, Harbingers would be an awesome idea for them to come up with a dual league where they do both PoE 1 and 2, and they come up with some cool stuff with the Harbinger. The Harbinger race, the whole idea, the cryptic messages, all this stuff I find really fascinating. It's really cool. Um, and it was always is an inoffensive league that you could get quite a bit off of. Some of the uniques are still relevant or at least worthwhile, something that you can use. In fact, you could use Torrent Reclamation, this one right here. This belt is actually still really good. Um, that is now just a world drop. I don't know what the item levels are going to be. Not item levels, but uh, the rarity tiers. I don't know what that's going to be for these things, but some of these things are really good and they can be used by pretty much anyone. And this is a really good minion belt, even if, and now you don't have to go through a bunch of hoops to get it. It could just be a regular drop. We'll see. Sometimes they make these things very common, and then next league they'll change it up and they'll be like, "Ah, no, Torrance needs to be tier one, tier zero, or this needs to be tier three or whatever." We'll see what happens. But seeing Harbingers go is a very sad thing for me because it's a yet another classic league that was really fun, and hopefully they do something really interesting with it in the future. We'll find out. Only time will tell. League changes. Some of these are important to note. Number one, King's March has a whole bunch of changes. They swapped ore and bars, ore and bars being one thing, with um crops when it comes to what you get from your rewards. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they thought it was just too easy and it was harder to get ore and bars. Maybe that's probably what the reasoning is. But you can now re-roll favored resources on the peers. Um, sure, some of this stuff is okay. We'll see what happens. I think this is just one that we'll have to figure out. This is what I was saying earlier. They can no longer bring back cluster jewels over item 83. It only says cluster jewels. I know cluster jewels got a whole bunch of changes, which I don't know if they mentioned it here. They did mention it in the Q&A portion. But like you can get cluster jewels of one type and then fracture something on it and then change it to a different type as long as it's one that works. Like it's got to be a medium to another medium of the that actually has the normal implicit. That's really interesting, and that's going to open up a lot of things. You're going to see some crazy cluster jewels, I think, in this league. Um, moving on, this might be this is nice. Now that we don't have awakened gems, you can just get 500 million experience on an exceptional. This isn't bad. This is a pretty good change. Since we don't have awakened. Valuable scarab. This could be actually good depending on what they mean by valuable scarab. Betrayal. Just a bunch of changes, mostly about things going away or things being added. The fled is all about the breach stuff. So obviously you're going to get foulborn currencies and crap like that. So that makes sense. This one is kind of funny. No more cluster or abyss jewels from Tujin. They're really doing a number on cluster jewels and how you obtain them. So we'll see what that really does, especially the people in solo southbound. I think that's gonna some of this stuff is gonna hurt. Um, some delve stuff, nothing big. This one's really funny to me. Obviously, they're talking about a selectable modifier for each level of ultimatums, but putting this in there as an option, it's never going to be selected. It doesn't matter how bad the other option is going to be unless you do the things where you don't get to select. which is what most people that do farm ultimatums do. This is a massive, massive nerf to ultimatums. This is actually funny to me because if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, um, most people that do the high end, like just balls to the wall juiced ultimatums, they selected A, where they can't actually select the modifiers that get added, and B, their high block AFK builds. This is funny because now you can't reliably do that. So this is going to kill. This might actually kill very high end ultimatum farming. I might be wrong on that. Again, tell me what you think, but that's a pretty funny change to me. I was never a fan of ultimatum anyway, at any level, no matter what. So that one doesn't really affect me. Player changes. Templar is now Holy Strike and Hollow Support. Guess what? We might be doing Dominating Blow. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about starting as. And that means that you may start with this Hollow Support. That's kind of crazy. That's a new support that they added. And that might actually be a big deal as a start. This might actually be a very strong starting character because of this, but we'll see. They did a little bit. This looks like a bit of a nerf on totems, whatever. Channeling skills. Who does that? This is actually kind of funny. It's kind of snuck in here. This is their first, to my knowledge, attempt at nerfing energy shield. Is it a big nerf? Eh, it halves your intelligence in relation to um, maximum energy shield. So yes, to an extent, but it also only matters in intelligence stacking uh, formulas. Like it is a big nerf. I think it's a big enough nerf that people are going to take note of it. I haven't seen anybody talking about it because I haven't been really watching anything other than the announcement here. So we'll see what that does. This is definitely a nerf to ES, and it's probably one of the first that they're going to start implementing. This sure. Then we got a whole bunch of skill changes. This is why I'm thinking about, or not that. Well, this is one of the things I'm thinking of is absolution and absolution of inspiring. I think hollow support. I think that's a melee only thing, which means that it's not going to work with absolution, but it will work with dominating blow. And the new modifier on Templar, which I don't think we skipped. Yeah, we haven't skipped yet. May be relevant. Uh, I think dominating blow might be a good league starter in this league. And then there's various other ones. There's nothing here that I really picked out. I know this got a massive nerf. I think my Viper Strike of the Mamba got basically took out back. Um, but we'll see. This is another reason Vol domination, massive buff. However, Vol skills are going to be hard to get because you might want to have the new corruption of the added level 1 support. I don't know how this is going to work. I think this is kind of a weird this is very weird to me, uh, to have to go between one and the other. I can see them keeping it so that when you use the coin thing to get the +1 skill gem support, not being able to also get level 21. However, getting a vol version of it should still be allowed. I don't know if they did anything with this. Corruption, overriding corruption is going to be a very interesting mechanic. I don't know what they're going to do about that. Hopefully, we can still get vol domination and the like +1 or something like that. All awakened gems are gone. We got a whole bunch of new supporting gems. We have no idea if that's going to matter. But this is the nerf. This is what you're here for if you're interested in the golem build. They absolutely butchered Pledge of Hands. Number one, it was dropped to level one. It's not actually here. It's lower down, but they lowered it from level 30 Awakened Echo to level one. They increased the mana gain. Who cares? And they made it so that you cannot combine a non awakened or a non greater with a greater. So you can't actually have it together anymore. So this is actually a huge crush, a huge kick to the ass. Uh, Greater GMP, greater volley, greater that stuff. Not a big deal. I don't know of anything that really uses both, but this is going to be massive. The spell echo and greater spell echo. They killed. I think they killed the Pledge of Hands version of the build. So there's a few other things here, but nothing super notable. This is the one I was talking about. You can now inflict Hallowing Flame on melee hit, which means you don't need that support gem. Again, I don't know if the support gem is only melee. We have to see. But if it is, then Dominating Blow is going to be the way to go, not Absolution. Absolution, however, can be the way to go if the support gem allows that. If it's just apply on hit. If it's melee, though, it's it's not going to work. This here allows you to circumvent even having that support. You can just get it. That's awesome. So I think dominating blow conversion to lightning is going to be a mess. I think it's going to be a great league starter. This league. It won't even take much thought to get the build working, and if we get lucky, you may even get that belt, the Harbinger belt. I think that would be a good belt for it. So we'll see. Another big kick to the ass to our golem build, and this is a kick to the ass for both. We no longer getting 50% increase effect of buffs by our golems, and we use golems for the buffs, and then we have our flame golem of the hordes. Those don't give a buff. It's the other ones that matter. So this just decreased our defensive capabilities. Thanks. I don't know why this is happening. I almost feel like they went after this build, even though it's not even a notable build. It's just weird to me. But this is another big kick to the ass. But I will note that the feral, this might be a big thing. In fact, I think this here could be a good uh, replacement for Templar skills in the dominating blow build. I think this is actually a good idea right here. So again, I think dominating blow is the way to go. So we'll see. Uh, There's some other things, some new clusters, some new sockets, what have you. A bunch of changes to unique items. Nothing here matters really to anything that I care about. Uh, this is kind of interesting. This might be something to think about for anybody doing a physical bow build. Granted, physical bows, people want to make extremely high end rare bows. This might be a good starter bow or early on bow for people doing that. I'm not a bow guy, but we'll see. This is our big nerf. Yay for more mana. Who cares? But this one level one greater spell echo, that's a massive kick to the ass. And then, of course, now it doesn't stack. Yeah. I don't know anybody that's going to use Pledge of Hands. I don't know why they gutted it like that. This is a nerf that will hit a lot of people because I know a lot of people use Shaper's Touch gloves. Reducing your having the amount of accuracy for intelligence is going to be a notable thing. This is the only minion related unique change. Doesn't really do anything Nobody uses Sybil's Lament. So Soul Taker, let's see. Now I have eat to 2/4 souls. This weapon exists or unaffected. Sure. Hollowing Flame on hit with the Supreme Truth Scepter. This might be something to look into for dominating blow. or other things too. It might be a good starter weapon. Supreme Truth, though, I'm trying to think. Is that a man? Is that a lab exclusive? I can't remember. That's another thing to look into. Uh, Now has converted, no longer has hits with his weapon. This is an interesting change. That might actually be interesting to look into. You know, that could be a. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Voltaxic Rift, uh, Chaos Conversion, Lightning, Absolution. That's what it's gonna be. Let's see here. Contains unique item. Sure, whatever. And then there's a lot of just random changes, little things for quality of life. I'm looking forward to the new stuff that you can see, you can find throughout the campaign. They did that. They've done that a couple of times now. That's always interesting. But other than that, again, I'm not going to make a build guide or anything with the Pledge of Hands, uh, flame golems of the hordes, because I don't think there's a reason to do that. I'm probably going to start Templar and see where to go from there. I think Templar is going to actually be one of the top played classes this league. I don't know which ascendancy is going to be the most popular, but I think the class itself is going to be the most popular, with the exception of maybe Scion. I think that's what's going to be. It's going to be Scion, it's going to be Templar, and then after that, you're probably going to see the rest of them kind of mix and matched. Uh, and we'll see what happens with dominating blow if I decide to stick with that. Hopefully, we'll have new information between now and next Friday. But until then, hopefully, you all are having a good time. You're excited like I am. And I will see you when I see you. Later.